What's up, guys? The Saints defeat the Panthers in the season opener 47-10. That is not a mistake. I did not read that wrong. That is literally 47-10. Where do we fucking begin? I did not. I would have never imagined that we would have actually come out week one and looked really good. I did predict a win this week. I did not predict 47-10. I really expected to have to come on here and really be very critical of the Saints. I thought, I knew Clint Kubiak would be a great addition to the Saints. I knew we'd have much more creative play calling, but I was very concerned about the offensive line and, the consistencies of the weapons that we had on offense. But they looked great. I mean, we came out first drive and threw a 60-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed, very first drive on the first third down of the game. And then immediately after that, Will Harris, who I didn't know who Will Harris was. I legitimately did not know he was on our roster. I did not know he was our starting strong safety. But he had an interception on the very first play on defense of the entire season. And, apparently he's goated because he got a pick on the first play. There were a lot of people, quote-unquote, NFL experts that were picking the Panthers to win, and I knew the Saints would win. The Panthers, they're having a little bit of hype. By a little bit of hype, I mean they had a lot of experts had the Panthers being better than the Saints this year, and if you know any football at all, you know the Panthers weren't going to be better than the Saints. But that being said, I did think this would have been a somewhat competitive, ugly football game on both ends, and it was very ugly for the Panthers. Bryce Young legitimately does not look improved at all. And, part of that is also the Saints legitimately did play very good defense. I'm not discrediting this win at all. It's the Panthers, obviously. It's the Panthers. We're not going to come on here and proclaim we're winning the Super Bowl, although we just might be. But in all seriousness, the Panthers did have a few missed opportunities. They had a couple wide open throws they missed, but the Saints did play good defense, and we're going to give them the credit for that. Because if we look at the total yards in the game, the Saints had 379 total yards, which that's also with them stop. They put all the backups in the fourth quarter. The Panthers had 193 total yards, and they had a lot of garbage time yards in this game. I think in the first half they had less than 100. So that should tell you everything. The run game looked really good today. I was really surprised how the run game looked today. Alvin, the play calling. That's my biggest takeaway. That's probably, in my opinion, that's the biggest reason in this game to have optimism for this season in hopes that we could win the division and make the playoffs and maybe go on a run. I'm not saying, don't get ahead of ourselves. But if there's one reason to have optimism in this game, it's the play calling to me because there were so many creative play calls with Taysom Hill in the backfield, at tailback in both shotgun and pistol formations, lined up to the side of Derek Carr and also behind Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara had plenty of good runs. The offensive line actually looked okay today. Trevor Penning and Fuaga had a couple of holding calls, but for the most part, they looked pretty good today. There wasn't really a time in this game where I was really pissed off about Trevor Penning existing, because we all know last year when Trevor Penning did start early in the year, he was absolutely dog shit and was almost the reason we would lose some games. But he looked pretty good today. I'm not gonna lie, I got to give him credit where credit is due. The run game looked really good. Kamara had, I think, 100 total scrimmage yards and a touchdown, and he had an ovation at the end of the game because I think he had his 50th game of 100 scrimmage yards, which is really good. I think the Saints, even in this game, they had a franchise record of total points in the season opener, which even beat the last time we scored 40 points in a season opener was 2009 when we won the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying we're winning the Super Bowl. I am not saying that. But that is definitely something to be excited about, and this is our 6th straight Week 1 win. Fucking love that. Absolutely love that. Let's look at some stats here. Derek Carr went 19 for 23, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Derek Carr looked really good today, and I don't think this is indicative of what Derek Carr is going to play all season. But that being said, he did legitimately look very good today. His very first drive of the game, that touchdown pass to Shaheed, he was under a lot of pressure, and he didn't even step up, and he threw about 40 or 50 yards down the field to Shaheed, and it was a pretty good throw. I thought it looked like an arm punt on my TV, and I thought it was going to be a pick. I'm not going to lie to you, but he made the throw. And there was even Derek Carr was playing with some I'm sorry. I don't know, I'm a little bit sick as I'm recording this. That's why I might sound a little fucked up. But Derek Carr was playing with some swagger today. He had a point at the end of the game. I say the end of the game. At the end of the third quarter, he had a quarterback sneak that went for like 5 or 6 yards, which is a lot longer than a normal quarterback sneak goes for. And he got up and he started emoting on the Panthers, which I thought was fucking hilarious. If Derek Carr is emoting on you in the third quarter, then at that point you just forfeit the game. Just leave. Leave the Superdome. Don't come back. I mean, it's wraps for you. And then run game, Alvin Kamara had 15 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry. And in recent years, we've seen Alvin Kamara have really low yards per carry. A lot of that because Pete Carmichael was a terrorist, and he was using Alvin Kamara like he was Derrick Henry and only running the ball up the middle every single time, about 20 times a game, and it never worked. We saw a lot of outside runs today. Taysom Hill, 5 carries for 35 yards, and almost all of those were in the backfield as a legitimate running back. I am really intrigued by that, and I fucking love that. Keep that shit up. The receiving game. Not a lot going on in the receiving game just because this game was wrapped up so quickly. Derek Carr didn't really have to throw it. But we set the tone early. You know, Rashid Shaheed had 3 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown, an early 60-yard touchdown. Foster Moreau had a sneaky good game, 4 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. One of those was I think at the end of the first quarter. Derek Carr threw a cross-body touchdown that I think was supposed to be it was a play designed for one of the offensive linemen lined up as an eligible receiver to get the ball. And Derek Carr ended up throwing it to Foster Moreau, who was kind of covered, but he fucking mossed the defender and got a touchdown. Can't complain there. Kamara had 5 catches, 27 yards. It's good to see Kamara getting involved in the pass game. You saw him line up as receiver, get some screens. You like that. Juwan Johnson, 2 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown. He had a nice touchdown at the end of the half. Olave only had 2 catches for 11 yards, but when we're up so early in the game and the game is just kind of wrapped up, I'm not mad with that. Now, let's talk about this defense. Because this defense was absolutely phenomenal today. I think we all kind of expected the defense to play well against Bryce Young and the Panthers, but, I mean, Bryce Young's stats. He was 13 for 30 for 161 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. 13 for 30. That is not a typo. That is not an error. That is terrible. That is terrible. That is very bad. And Alontae Taylor, our slot corner, had 3 sacks today. That is not a typo. That is correct. Alontae Taylor had 3 sacks today. What in the absolute fuck? That is insane. I mean, this game was awesome. This game was honestly, I'm not going to shit you guys. This was probably the first time in my years of watching the Saints that I was not excited. I wasn't really excited at all for this season. I'm not like super, like I'm not a lot more excited. I'm very excited about this game, but I'm not having Super Bowl expectations or anything. I'm going to be honest with you guys. My prediction going into the season was 9-8 and barely missing the playoffs. And I am going to, I'm going to stand by that because it is one game. And we have a tough game next week in the Dallas Cowboys, who we'll talk about later. But this game, it's hard. How can you not be excited with this game? Even as pessimistic of a fan as you can possibly be, how can you not be excited about a 47-10 win? It's the Panthers, I know, but even last year, we never really saw the Saints dominate an opponent they should dominate last year. Even like the 2 games against the Panthers last year, they barely won on Monday Night Football last year in a very sloppy game, and then the game at home last year, the crowd was almost empty. Their season was on the ropes. And the game was like 14-6 at the end of the third quarter. It was a terrible football game. Derek Carr had like 30 yards going into the fourth quarter, but this game completely different story. The Saints put belt to ass from the opening kickoff, and it's hard not to love that, man. It's hard not to love that. I mean, it's good to see your fucking football team win a game and take care of business against the team they should. And it's important that they did this week 1 because the upcoming stretch is very difficult. Very difficult. Next week we go at Dallas, who's currently playing the Cleveland Browns. They're up 14-3 in the second quarter as I'm recording this. And then they go back at home to the Philadelphia Eagles, who had a close win against the Packers in Brazil. Then we play the Falcons in Atlanta, who lost to the Steelers today 18-10, so that's good. If the Bucs win today, which they're up against the Commanders right now, we'll be tied for first place in the NFC South. Now, it's week 1, obviously, but, it's good. It's always good to see your division opponents lose. And then after the Falcons game, we play the fucking Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Even as good as we look today, I don't think we're going to beat the Chiefs. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. But, like back to what I was saying earlier, defense looked really good. Alante Taylor had 3 sacks. Damari Davis had a sack. Jordan Howden and Will Harris, 2 safeties, both had interceptions today. I believe Tyrann Mathieu had a forced fumble. Rashichi, he had a 33-yard kick return as well. A punt return, I mean. Blake Grupe. I can't believe I haven't talked about Blake Grupe yet. I was fucking shocked today from Blake Grupe. Now, I'm not changing my opinion of him. I do believe he's still a pussy. And if those kicks were in the fourth quarter, he would have missed. But he went 4 for 4 today and hit 2 50-yard field goals and hit his career long today at 57 yards. Major props to Blake Grupe. Major props to Blake Grupe. I'm not going to shit on you at all. I'm going to wait. I'm going to let you prove yourself in clutch kick situations this year. A 57-yard field goal is phenomenal. Good job, Blake Grupe. You played well today. But that's about all I'm going to cover for today. I mean, all around, amazing performance. Marshall Lattimore did get injured. He hurt his hamstring. Left the game. I'm not sure how serious it is. Lattimore has had a rough injury history the last couple of years. I really hope he's not out for too long. A hamstring is not a great sign, but from what they were saying on the broadcast, it did seem more precautionary for him not coming back in, just because by the time he was injured, we were already up by like 30 and the game was over. But hopefully he's not out for too long. Obviously, we'll see what the situation is with him, but if he's out for a little bit of stretch of time, I don't think we're absolutely cooked because Paulson Adebo was a phenomenal corner. Alante Taylor played great today, and Kool-Aid McKinstry has a lot of potential as a rookie cornerback, so we'll see. And we still have Tyrann Mathieu at safety. And Will Harris and Jordan Howden played well today, so we'll see if the secondary can hold up against the Dallas Cowboys next week. But this is a great start to the football season. I'm so glad football's back, and hopefully we can actually have a good season this year and make the playoffs. We'll see. We'll see how far this momentum goes because I really want to keep up this stretch of not having to rant on these game recaps. So we'll see how long this lasts. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we have another good football season and we can actually, like I said, make the playoffs this year. But great week 1, 47-10 win. And next week we're at the Dallas Cowboys. So I'll see you guys next week for that.